Hi and welcome to the Hard Knocks Guitar Shop. My name is Will Kelly and I'm the monthly repair columnist for Vintage Guitar Magazine, as well as the author of How to Build Electric Guitars from Kits from Voyager Press. In conjunction with PrecisionGuitarKits.com, in this video series we're going to show you how to obtain a great lacquer finish on your kit guitar using spray cans and commonly sourced finishing supplies and materials. It's not a hard process, but it does require a lot of patience. You need to start with a great kit. And that's why PrecisionGuitarKits.com is such a great source. You get close tolerances on the machining on the neck joints, the bodies are perfect, and the wood selection is fantastic. You need good bones to build a great guitar, and these are the best there are. So let's talk a little bit about the types of finishing supplies and materials that you're going to need to begin this project. Purchase good quality sandpaper. Cheap sandpaper loses its abrasive particles really easily and it doesn't last very long, so you end up contaminating your paint surface as well as spending more money on more sandpaper that doesn't work as well. I like to use 3M products. They're great products. Now you're going to need 3 different grades of sandpaper to get the body prepped for staining and painting. You need a 180 grit, a 220 grit, and a 400 grit. And to properly apply these sandpapers to the guitar body, you're going to need to go ahead and get some sanding blocks. These are also by 3M, and you get a smaller one that will fit smaller areas and corners, and then a larger one that helps with large flat areas, because when you use your fingertips you end up applying pressure unevenly on the sandpaper, and that can result in gouges in the surface. While you're at it, you're also going to need some protective gear. Get some nitrile gloves and also a breathing mask. This is to maintain your lungs while you're spraying these noxious lacquer fumes. Also, go ahead and get yourself some masking tape, painter's tape. That's the blue style that doesn't have a very high adhesion factor to it, so it won't pull any paint off if you apply it over recently sprayed paint. But more importantly, it gives a good paint seal surface in the neck cavities and on the neck tenon of the two pieces, neck and body. Because we've chosen Balin by Mohawk as our preferred vendor for this project. These cans of nitrocellulose lacquer, sealer, color toner are all excellent quality and very good bang for your buck. You can find these online at a lot of different retailers. The first step, we're going to apply our sanding sealer. This is going to seal the pores of the mahogany wood so that we can get a nice flat even finish, and it also prevents the color lacquer from being soaked straight into the wood by the open pores of the mahogany. Then for the top of the guitar and the interior center portion of our Sunburst, we're going to apply this Starcast Amber. It's a beautiful golden see-through lacquer that darkens as you progressively coat it, yet still retains see-through. After that, we're going to use this Encore Brown, which is a great way to burst the outer edges as well as the sides, back, and back of neck of this guitar. So we'll end up with a nice even black, dark brown coat on the back and then the Sunburst on the front. And to top it all off after that, we're going to apply several coats of clear lacquer to get that glossy vintage sheen that we want. When sanding your guitar body, you're going to use progressively finer grades of sandpaper, starting with 180 grit, progressing to 220, and then 400 grit to get the final smoothness you're going to require before you start spraying. When you sand a guitar body, you always want to sand along the grain lines. Never sand crossways. That'll end up providing scratches and hazing the finish on your guitar, and it's very difficult to remove. So always sand along grain lines. When you sand the edges of the body, you want to make sure that you sand the sides where the grain runs lengthwise, but on the ends and also the front, the grain runs widthwise. So make sure you adjust your sanding passes accordingly as well, okay? But to sand onto an edge is a bad thing. When you sand onto an edge, that rounds over the corner and doesn't make it as crisp or as sharp as we'd like it to be. So when you're sanding a guitar body, always sand from interior to exterior or off of the edge. Follow the grain lines, sand off of an edge, and I think you're going to be really happy with the smooth, even results that you obtain. Use a big flat sanding block for tops and backs or flat surfaces, and then you may want to use the smaller sanding block to do the edges, corners, and top and bottom. You're going to need to go ahead and tape off the end of the neck tenon, except for the top, and also the interior of the neck cavity route. Okay, just use some of your blue painter's tape and cover all these surfaces very exactly so that you've got a flush top, but yet it still protects every glued surface that we're going to be using, because glue won't soak into lacquer. So we want to keep these raw wood so that when we do glue them up after finishing, that they're going to easily mate together permanently. For the neck, you want to just draw a line basically from the end of the fingerboard all the way square around, and that's your glue line, because junior style guitars have the fingerboards flush with the end of the body. So there's your glue line. There's where you need to protect from there on back. Remember to keep this top part clear so that when we finish the guitar body, we'll finish this to match, and so that it'll be a seamless, colorless transition in this area. You're going to need to craft a couple of simple wooden handles to attach to the interior of the neck cavity as well as the back of the neck tenon, so that you have something to hold while you spray the bodies with. This ensures that you don't get fingerprints or any damage to the soft lacquer finish while it cures. Now what I've done here is just taken an old striker plate from a door handle jamb, and that basically is spreading the force of the screws out on the MDF plywood that I've used here. Okay, a little tip which is really helpful is that try rounding the top of the stick off to match the interior rounded corner of the neck route. That way when it fits in tight and there's no movement at all in the neck. This is important because any lateral movement of this could damage this edge and make it not look flush when the neck's finally installed. You want to keep all these at right angles. So we're going to go ahead and drill and mount these two interior screws here, and then we'll do the neck. Okay. We should be ready for some sealer spray now. We've sanded the necks and the bodies from 180 through 220 and 400 grit sandpaper. So we've got a really smooth, even surface to the wood with no accidental scratches or dings. Then we've taped off the gluing surfaces on the neck and the neck cavity in the body route, because those are things that don't need any lacquer, sealer, or anything. We want raw wood for that glue to soak in and make a great permanent bond with. Then we've attached some small wooden handles to both the wooden neck and the wooden body so that we can handle them while spraying without leaving fingerprints or anything like that. Plus we've drilled small holes in the end so they're easily hung up while they're drying out of the way. So the next thing we need to do is set up a spraying area outside. It needs to be something that is well ventilated and well lit, and yet you're not going to damage any residual areas by any overspray. So let's take it outside.